Hey guys, it's Jason Collins, your friendly neighborhood corporate marketing guy, and I am here this time to talk to you guys a little bit about something that we started doing a few months back, probably around the first of the year. And we've seen some traction with it in some locations, and in other locations we have some opportunity for improvement. But today, what I want us to talk about are Google reviews, specifically Google reviews, but some of this stuff is also going to apply to Facebook reviews. And then as we move forward in some of this, we're probably going to be looking at doing some Yelp reviews and setting up some different accounts for us across the various platforms online. But right now I want us to talk about specifically Google reviews and why they're important, number one, and what we can do to improve our chances of getting good reviews. We're going to talk a little bit about what to do if we get a not so good review or even a bad review. And then we're going to talk with one of our location managers who has really sort of taken this thing and run with it. So with that in mind, let's take a look at some of the best practices and suggestions and a little bit of background on what exactly are Google reviews. Why is this something that we even want to go after? You know, what are the benefits of having Google reviews? Well, obviously, obtaining Google reviews is a really easy and free way to get ahead of your competitors by building customer trust. And I'll talk a little bit later about some experiences that I had recently when Chad and I were in New Orleans at the MHI convention, and a conversation that came out of a workshop that we were both in, and a conversation that sort of sprang from that with some younger people in, you know, the millennial generation. That's in marketing, that's really become one of the focal points for a lot of us, because the millennials are, and some of you are millennials, and so you'll identify with this, but it's the largest generation since the baby boomers, and their buying power is enormous, and the way that they expect to see companies perform has really changed. The demands that they're putting on the market are really unique. So we'll talk a little bit about that, but primarily the reason to pursue Google reviews, number one, is customer trust. People believe reviews more than they're ever going to believe anything that you and I say. I mean, you know, we can run an ad that says we're great. We can spend thousands and thousands of dollars to put that ad in front of people to convince people that we're great. People might or might not believe it. You know, you guys in the sales department can talk about our longevity, you know, our reputation in the market, our product quality and all that stuff. Again, you know, they might believe us, they might not believe us. I mean, I get paid to say good things about the company. You get paid to say good things about the company. But these people who are doing these reviews, they don't get anything out of it. So the perception of the validity of reviews that come from independent third parties are tremendous. So Google reviews help to build customer trust. Now, the data that we're getting back here, and if you'll notice, this data is from 2016, but I've looked at the same data for 2017 and 18, and the numbers are really, for all intents and purposes, they're comparatively the same. So anyway, we're looking at 91% of customers regularly or occasionally read online reviews. So, I mean, anytime you find something that 90+% of the people are doing, it's a really good indicator that we need to be present in that space. And that's one of the reasons that we shifted our primary focus into digital media and online marketing and social media and online video and stuff, because, you know, 79 to 84 or 7% of the people, depending on which market we're looking at, are actually on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, et cetera, et cetera. So the bulk of the market was there. That's why we went there. So now when we look at something that's telling us that 91% of consumers regularly or occasionally read online reviews, we need to focus some of our attention on that. 84% of people trust online reviews as much as they do personal recommendations. Now, we know that one of the best leads that you can get is a referral lead. A happy customer telling their cousin, brother, neighbor, coworker, or whatever that we're great. This is telling us that 84% of the people who are online, we're having a thunderstorm come through, so you guys may hear a little bit of that as we go through, or I may lose connection, and if I do, I'll obviously pick it back up. But anyway, 84% of the people who are investigating us online are saying that they would trust an online review as much as a personal recommendation. And then 74% of consumers say that positive reviews make them trust a local business even more. And then, some other data points. Do you regularly, do you read online reviews to determine whether a local business is good or bad? And these are some trends that I think are worth looking at here. The purple is 2010, when 22% of the people said, yes, I regularly look at online reviews to determine if a local business is good or bad. In 2015, in the green, that jumped up to 33%. And then in 2016, that jumped up to 50%. Now, I will say this, that those numbers have also jumped again. So the data that I was looking at, and I don't have a chart compiled for that, but the data I was looking at earlier when preparing for this video suggests that we're really moving into that 72 to 75%. So more than 3/4 of the people are regularly looking at online reviews to make a determination about the character and the quality of a company. And then as we move into the other categories, people say yes occasionally. Obviously, those numbers are on up there. And if you look at and combine the two from 2016, which says yes occasionally and yes regularly, again, we're looking at in excess of 91% of the people are doing that. They're using those reviews to make a buying decision. Google reviews ensure that transparency and social proof are at the forefront of your online presence. Google is where a lot of your potential customers see your business first, and so to have a set of reviews improves your chances of getting users to the next stage of your sales funnel. Now, I will say this with regard to that. About 2 years ago, year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we really shifted a lot of our focus away from using social media as a primary advertising platform and moved into purchasing more ads on Google, became more aggressive with keyword advertising. That pendulum has certainly swung more in that direction since we divided up the websites and stuff, because each website needs individual localized traffic for them. So we're doing a lot more aggressive keyword advertising that way. So Google really is our primary point of contact for the majority of our customers who submit leads on our website. And then the first step of that, obviously, is the information that they type into Google. And even with people that we get first contact with on social media, we're using Google and we're using YouTube to remarket to those people, so that the Google family of advertising opportunities is operating again as a funnel to bring those people back into our website, back into our phone system, e-leads, etc. So there is tremendous benefit to having those reviews out front, because it helps with that first and subsequent contact point for people. One of the other benefits to having Google reviews is SEO benefit. And for those of you who don't know, SEO is an industry term. It means search engine optimization. And basically what that means is if we want to rank for manufactured homes, Bismarck, North Dakota, or single wide Aberdeen, South Dakota, any of those hundreds of terms that we advertise for out there, while capturing someone's traffic and their attention through a paid ad, meaning they type in single wide in Rapid City and our paid ad pops up, that's okay. But obviously that money comes out of our marketing budget, and money spent on a keyword is money that can't be spent somewhere else. But the quality of that traffic suffers a little bit when compared to traffic that comes from organic search, meaning, and I'm speaking in elementary terms here for those of you who may not know this, but when you do a search, typically the first 3 to 5 things that pop up at the top are paid ads, and then below that is what's called the organic listings. A lot of people, just as a matter of habit, and I'm one of those people, I tend to just scroll straight by the first ones on top to look for the organic, because typically that's what I'm looking for, and it's not an ad. So the quality of organic traffic, even though the same search term brings them in, the quality of organic traffic is better than the quality of paid traffic. So the goal is to have natural organic rankings for as many search terms as possible. SEO, or search engine optimization, is where we accomplish that. So one of the advantages, hang on, let me grab a drink of water here. One of the advantages of having an active, positive flow of Google reviews is it helps with your SEO positioning. Google assumes that if you're getting interaction from your audience, that you're relevant to that audience. In fact, I've got another document that I'm not sure if I'll get to in this, but it says that just under 10% of a website's authority score, or the scores that are used to determine where you rank in that list of websites, just shy of 10% of that is directly linked to the Google reviews. So basically what it means is if we want to rank higher in search engine rankings for terms that are associated with our various websites, the best thing we can do is to have Google reviews, or one of the things that we can do. I mean, it's 10% of your score, so that's very important. And also one of the benefits of having Google reviews is it pushes us up in the local search rankings as well. And this is just an example of a local ranking, and we'll look at one of ours here in just a little bit. According to research, reviews count towards 13%. The data that I was looking at before I read this said 10%, so somewhere between 10 and 13% of the factors who determine your rank in local PAC and the following review signals are thought to influence your position. Quality of native Google reviews. Obviously our goal is to get 5-star reviews. That's not always possible, but we really want to strive to get 5-star reviews, because that's a good indicator that we're doing a good job, and it also looks good in the social mirror because, it looks like we're doing a good job. Product service keywords in the reviews. That's one of the things that I haven't talked about with any of you guys, and that's kind of second level stuff, but we're going to talk about that in that we're going to start maybe pre-writing some reviews and sending them to people and saying, hey, if you don't mind, could you just paste this in? Not that we're trying to skew their review or anything like that, but we're just trying to help, get some of those keywords and stuff plugged in. Chad tells a story about when they were in the Dominican Republic, and the guy on the beach or by the pool or whatever asked if they could give a review, and there was some benefit in his business. I think if he got, whatever, 100 reviews or whatever, he got some additional time off or whatever the thing was. And he would just say, hey, let me make it easy for you. Just log on to your Google and hand me your phone. And he literally sat there and typed out on their phones the review that he wanted them to leave, and then handed it back to Chad and was like, you hit send and you're good with that. So that's kind of taking it to the extreme, but we could definitely give people some suggestions so that we can work some of those keywords that are important back into those Google reviews. Obviously, positive sentiments in the reviews are important. And then the overall velocity of the reviews. Now, what does that mean? You know, anytime Google determines or anytime Google releases information telling us as marketers some of the things that they look for in order to push us up to the top, or in order to send us higher quality traffic or higher volume traffic or whatever, there's an industry out there that seeks to manipulate that, and you can go online and you can literally buy reviews, and you know, I don't know, there's a Pakistani sweatshop out there somewhere, and you know, they have a room full of people who are typing up fake Google reviews. The reason that overall velocity is important is because naturally you're not going to have 100 5-star reviews that show up in a week or a month or you know, maybe even a year, depending on what your traffic volume is to your website. So Google looks at that and goes, hey, these guys are getting 50 people a day, but yet they're getting 25 positive reviews. That doesn't look natural. So what Google does look at is the natural velocity of those positive reviews. And also, oddly enough, other than 5-star reviews, 4-star, 3-star reviews can actually help you, because that in the overall scheme of things, Google is looking for what is natural and legitimate, and naturally and legitimately we're just not going to get all 5-star reviews. So that's something to consider as you start coaching your people into how to ask for reviews and what customers should say in reviews and things like that. The next area that's important for reviews is a potential for increased return on investment. And you know, like I said before, every dollar that we spend to buy traffic is a dollar that we can't spend somewhere else in the marketing chain of things. And so we're always looking at ways to improve what we're doing, to optimize, capitalize, get you guys as many leads and the highest quality leads as we possibly can. You know, and there's a lot of back-end stuff that's involved in that. I mean, you know, there's a lot of programming that goes into things. There's a lot of maintenance and optimization that goes into things. And I mean, I probably look at, gosh, I don't know, across all 8 of our websites and Facebook and YouTube and everything, I probably look at 500 different reports each week and make determinations on what keywords should we increase our spending on, which keywords should we decrease, do we need to get rid of these, should we add these, what are some of our competitors, you know, did Eisman's pop up on my list, are they running Google ads, have they changed their strategy, you know, there's all of this stuff that goes into the back end. So the more ROI we can have, the smaller the bill for getting a lead, then the more money that we have to devote to improving lead volume and improving lead quality and stuff like that. And so without going into too deep a rabbit hole on that, I will say this, and then we'll move on a little bit. But the money that we've invested in the new websites and the new Facebook profiles for all of the individual locations have really paid out in spades. The last video where we talked about the massive increase in lead volume that we're seeing is phenomenal, and that can be directly tied into the new websites, the ease of navigation, the ease of ability to capture lead information from people. So that's an example of when our return on investment is higher on things, we're able to make an additional investment in infrastructure and technology and systems and processes to make it all work better. So anyway, and maybe I'll have a conversation with you guys in another video really about some of the nuts and bolts behind the scenes of how things work. But potential for increased ROI is obviously something that that we're looking for always. And then let's get into a little bit of the how you guys can handle this. And again, we're going to have some conversations here a little later in this segment with one of our location managers about some of the things that they're doing and have been doing this year that has really, really, really paid off for them in terms of Google reviews. And we're going to talk a little bit about how they're asking for them and how they're handling things on their end. But some general practices for how to do that. Ask for reviews at different brand touch points, in email, at the close of the sale, different places along the way. And one of the things that I talked about a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, with one of the managers was I would do it up front. Even on a phone call with somebody, and this is just an example of kind of how I would do it. And I would say, hi, Mr. Customer, my name's Jason, and I'm a sales consultant with Centennial Homes, and I'm happy to answer your questions. But really quickly, I just want you to know that my goal is to provide you with 5-star service. And at the end of this phone call, if I haven't been able to do that, I would really appreciate you letting me know. So can we just agree on the front end that if I haven't provided you with 5-star service at the end of this phone call or at the end of this meeting or at the end of whatever, can you just be honest with me and let me know that? You're setting the stage at the very beginning for this 5-star service idea. And then at the end of the phone call, and this is an excellent test close question as well, you can say, Mr. Customer, if you remember at the beginning, I promised to provide you with 5-star service, and I asked for your honesty to let me know if I had failed in doing that. Do you feel like you got more today from me than you expected? And let them answer that, because if the answer is no, then you're not done. Okay? But if the answer is yes, yeah, Jason, you did. You really answered my questions and you were knowledgeable and yada, yada, yada. So I'll say, okay, Mr. Customer, I'm so happy that I was able to provide you with 5-star service today. Is there any reason that you couldn't put that in a 5-star Google review? And there's your opportunity to ask that, because the guy just said, hey, you gave me 5-star service. So is there any reason that you wouldn't be able to, or that you wouldn't feel comfortable with, or that we couldn't? Is there any reason we couldn't leave that in a 5-star review on Google today? Their answer may be, I don't know how. Okay, and we need to have a follow-up for that. But obviously, if the answer is yes, okay, then you can say, okay, Mr. and Ms. Customer, I'll be happy to send you some information on how to do that, or I'm happy to help walk you through it right now. And then you just go right into and close them on the review. And, it's also a good opportunity if you haven't got a mobile number from them, you can do that. Hey, I've got a link and I'll make it super simple for you. I'll send you a couple of examples and a link where you can just click right in and do that. What's your cell phone number? And I'll send that to you right now. Or if you haven't gotten their email, you can go down the email path and say, hey, I've got a 2-paragraph explanation on how to do that. It really helps me out. Is it okay if I email that to you? What's your email address? So those are just some ideas on how you can ask for that positive review. Obviously, monitor your Google My Business account for new ratings. We do that. I highly, highly recommend that sales managers do that as well. If your Gmail account doesn't have access to your location's Google account, send me or Laura or both of us, copy both of us on the email, a note and remind us, and we'll get you set up on that. Because one of the things that we have found that really, I think probably the best word is really ignites or reignites a customer is when we go on and we reply to their review, because it shows up as business owner. And I didn't realize that it said that, but these people really are excited that the business owner took time out of his or her day to reply personally to their review, and we're not going to break their heart by telling them that Mike and Chad aren't really doing that. But as owners of our individual segments of this business, it's really good to do that and respond to people because they like that. So get set up with us so you can do some reviews, so you can monitor your own channel. And as you become more engaged with it, I think you'll start to see some of the value in why it's important to do this. Reviews on Google are public, so I advise you to respond to both positive, say thanks for the review, and express your happiness that they have had a positive experience, And negative reviews apologize, offer to solve the issue, and take the conversation into a private space. Nobody's always going to get 5-star reviews. We're just not going to do that. I mean, I really wish we could, but we don't. We're not going to do that. We're going to fail occasionally. And this is really a good barometer of how well we're doing our job. You know, I don't like negative reviews any more than any of the rest of you do. We try to deal with them the best way we can. Some of them are Fruit Loops who never have had any sort of business relationship with us whatsoever. They just got 4 beers into them at midnight and decided they were going to leave a negative review, and so we deal with those, right? And if it's somebody that we've never had any sort of business contact with them, I put on there, we checked our records and we've never done business with this person. I'm not sure why they left us a negative review. The world understands that a segment of the population is crazy, so that part is not totally detrimental to us. And so we'll talk some more about the benefit, so to speak, of negative reviews after a little bit. Decided further action needs to be taken. As an example, using the testimonials in your marketing collateral or improving your customer experience. One of the things that I want to do for some point of sale marketing material, I want to get us some boards printed up, some poster boards printed up to go in the locations that have actual Google and Facebook reviews on it, so we can start planting the seed in people's mind right away. And we may even put some of them out in houses. We used to have some things on easels that we would put out in houses, and we may bring that back and put great big, like whatever, 4x5 or whatever poster boards on easels out there with 5-star reviews so that people can, because, I mean, come on, guys. That number 2 and number 3 bedroom, there's not much going on in there. So if we can put something in there that reinforces the idea with people that they're making a good decision to do business with us, that's awesome. So 5-star reviews are important for your location because we may turn it into some sort of marketing collateral that's going to be featured in your home. So keep that in mind. And then some ideas on how to ask for Google reviews. Follow the principle: if you don't ask, you don't get it. And that's really, gosh, I mean, I can't put that any clearer to you. You're not going to get 100% of the reviews that you don't ask for. And again, I mean, I think it's a good barometer or litmus test or test close or whatever you want to say. I mean, it gives you an opportunity to ask a trial closing question without making someone feel like you're trying to close them. Because, hey, if I haven't provided you with 5-star service today, then I need to back up and reconfigure and do my job a little bit differently. So just think about that. You're not going to get reviews unless you ask for them. People are willing to leave online reviews, with 7 out of 10 people doing so if they've been asked. Therefore, all you need to do is ask. Be proactive. Ask your customers for feedback using a variety of channels such as email, phone, face-to-face. The sooner you ask for a review after engagement with consumers, the more likely they are to give you feedback. We should be following up with people, honestly. When their back tires hit the pavement coming out of our lot, they should be getting a text message from us just saying, hey, thanks for your time. I enjoyed meeting you and Karen and the kids, or whatever the deal is. But they really should be getting some reinforcement from us along the way. And Google reviews or social media reviews really give us a good way to do that without being pushy or salesy with people. Give them a step-by-step guide, such as the ones below, to make it easier for them to find you and follow the correct procedure. They'll really appreciate you saving them time, and they'll be more likely to leave a testimonial. Another way to obtain Google reviews is to include a call to action in your regular newsletter that goes out to your customers. So any communication that we are providing to the customer, we should give them an opportunity to leave a Google review. And then here's some information down here on how to leave a review with Google. I'm not going to get into that, but what I will do in this email, when this video gets emailed out to you guys, there'll be some links to some resources and stuff that you can take a look at just to help you guys kind of understand the how and the why and sort of the technical stuff about how to get these things done. So guys, we have a location in the Centennial Homes family which has really taken the review bull by the horn, so to speak, and they're making some great gains. Let's get Michael Williams of our Billings, Montana office on the line, and let's see what he has to say about his experience with Google reviews and really sort of how this stuff has been working for them out there. Let's see if we can get Mike on the line here. Mike, are you with us? Let's see here.
I am.
There we go. Alrighty, so Michael, why don't you give us kind of a rundown on sort of what got you guys started? What are you guys doing that's a little bit different, maybe, or how have you guys had the success with getting these reviews that you've had? Because I just checked on your Google profile before I launched this video, and you guys have got 43. Is that right? 43 reviews today.
Yep, 43 to date. When we talked actually last week, we were at like 31, something like that, 31, 32. We're averaging between 5 and 10 a week, which is pretty crazy here in the last few months. But the thing is that, you know, there's 9 dealers in town. There's probably 15 to 20 different builders in our market. So, you know, at Centennial Homes, we talk about being uniquely different in a positive way. And I think in 2019, the only way to really, advertise that is online, you know, because we're not going to give right in the door. But if we, you know, because 90% of the people shop online, you know, do their shopping before they step foot in the door. So, which means on some level, we got to get them emotionally and mentally connected to our company before they even hear our voice.
Yeah, you know, before I got online real quick, I was kind of running down a list of sort of some of the best practices, and you're right there in the ballpark. In fact, there's some really interesting stats that have just recently come out, and people are saying that 84% of the people who are actually going and checking out these reviews, they actually put as much or more value on online reviews as they do personal recommendations, which I just thought was crazy.
Well, it's interesting because I think maybe they do that in part because there's nothing, you're not attached to anything. You're not attached to that person. You're not attached to that review. It's really true information in your mind, and it's uncensored.
Yeah, exactly. And that was one of the things that I had talked about also is, you know, you and I, we get paid to say good things about Centennial Homes and about our products and all that stuff. And these people are completely detached from that, especially, and this is one of the things that I found a bit curious about the way that you guys are doing it. You were telling me that a lot of your reviews are actually coming from industry professionals and not so much from sort of customers or potential customers. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, we just try to look at every opportunity we can as an opportunity to get an online review. So, you know, every business has people that contact them for the purpose not of their business. For instance, with us, we get realtors that call all the time that want a value in a home. And we take the time to give them a value, where most dealers, if you called them as a realtor, you're not business. They don't want to waste their time on an NADA value or ideas in the market on how they can, you know, increase the equity for their client's position. Whereas we take that opportunity, not only do we give them a value, we give them advice on now, this is what we recommend you do and how you do it. And we go above and beyond. We have people contractors sometimes, that just have ideas on floor plans or ideas on the market and how it can help them. And instead of just blowing them off and telling them, hey, stay in your own lane, we do everything we can to give them the best service as well. And then we obviously take that opportunity, you know, to ask them for that review.
So, you know, one of the things that sort of in this previous conversation I was having, one of the things it was talking about sort of how to start with this is step one is just ask. you know, I mean, and this is one of the things I said was you're not going to get 100% of the leads that you don't ask for. How did you? I guess how did you jump into this from the very beginning? Because we've got several locations out there who really need to get on board with this, and I think it'll help them if you just kind of talk about some of the challenges that you faced, either real or imagined, and then just like sort of how easy you found it once you just started saying, "Hey, can we get a review?"
Well, initially it started with I had a customer that had a bad experience that wasn't our fault. However, they left an online review that was pretty unsavory. So we decided, me, Grant, Chad, everybody got together and we decided we're going to go above and beyond, take care of their issue. And that was the one where we got them from a 1 to a 3. And that was before the manager meetings. I went to the manager meetings and we were at only 9 reviews. And we had a 4.1, and I was looking at the list, and there was a 4.4, a 4.7, 4.3, and I thought to myself, wow, if we're really uniquely different in a positive way, and we sell more than everybody else because we do, and we offer such a better service, we have to have an online presence. So I made a goal at the manager meetings where I said I'm going to get to 25, and before the year's over. And I'm going to get, to a 4.5. And at that time, it wasn't really at the forefront of anybody's minds, but it was my goal. And so now here I am at a 4.8, almost a 4.9 any day now, and I've got 43. I've increased astronomically, like almost 200% my goal, and we're only halfway through the year.
Yeah, I mean, I fully expect to see 50, 60, 75 leads from you guys by the end of the year easily, because we haven't even really got into sprint, and that's a good time because of volume and things like that. And it's interesting, I had in my notes to talk to you about that review. It was 7 months ago, and that lady left a 1-star review, and it was bad. And you and I talked about it a couple times on the phone and trying to come up with a strategy to kind of get that turned around. And through, like you said, some management decisions and going above and beyond and stuff, we were able to get that lady to come back and amend her review, into something that was a bit more positive. And I think that's awesome. And this is going to lead me into a conversation that I want to have, because this is why even though we never want to get negative reviews, sometimes they're good. And hang on, because this is what I mean. A couple months ago, Chad and I were at the Manufactured Housing Institute Congress convention in New Orleans. And one of the breakout sessions or workshop sessions was on marketing to millennials. And that's a huge topic in the marketing world, because, the millennials are going to be the biggest buying generation ever. And they are putting some demands on the market that we've never seen before in terms of relationship and experience things that we've just never seen before, right? And so we're having to make some adjustments to the rudder, while we're trying to move the ship forward in anticipation of this business that we're going to be seeing in the next 5, 8, 10 years down the road. And so in this group, and these are all manufactured and modular housing professionals, and there's about 6 people that we had a conversation with after the workshop was over, and I straight up asked them. I said, "Okay, so tell me how you guys are handling reviews," because in the workshop they talked about how valuable these reviews are to people in their age group. And one of the girls said, "You know what? It's not whether you get a negative review or not. It's how you handle that in the public space. They actually expect to see negative reviews." In fact, one of the guys said, "Yeah," he said, if all you've got are 5-star reviews, I don't believe any of it, because that's unnatural." And we talked about in the video before you came on some of the things that Google looks for as it's ranking us, and part of that ranking determination has to do with the natural ebb and flow of reviews, because you are going to get some negative ones. So the millennial generation, and I think it probably spills into other generations as well, but primarily people are interested in, how did you handle that problem? We know you're going to have a problem, but how did you handle that problem? And I think your example of the 1-star review, that we were able to come together as a team and put value on that and step outside the box and get that done. I think that was a tremendous testament to how you can flip that stuff around sometimes. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Michael, is how do you target the people that you ask? Who are your sort of best candidates for reviews?
Well, I'd like to think we're doing a good job on that. We obviously aren't asking 80 or 90-year-olds, no offense to age, but the older the generation, the less likely we are to ask them or expect them to have a computer or the time that they want to put forth and figure out how to do this to leave a review. We target a lot of younger generation. We target a lot of middle-aged generation. See, because kids, millennials, 20s, 30s, when we go out to a restaurant, one of the first things we do is we look at a rating. Believe it or not, we search Google for best ranked restaurants or best rated restaurants and why, and we look at what people say. If we want to buy a pair of our TV, or that's all we do, literally, is we Google search it first. So, we target a lot of the younger generation, a lot of the 30s, sometimes 40s. Age is definitely a factor. We've been laughed at before when we've asked some older generation. They don't even have a computer, or they don't have an email, or Google what. But asking a 27-year-old for a Google review, if we knocked it out of the park, is a definite yes almost every time. The older the client, the more personality and execution in meeting, the more strategic you have to be. So that's how we do it. There's a million different ways to ask or set the customer up to giving you one, but it all comes down to giving the best customer service. And a review in nature is less physical and mental, and it is emotional. So we really target the ones that are visibly more emotional about the service we've given them. It's almost an immediate yes every time. Usually they'll do it on the spot.
So one of the things, again, that I had talked about before, and some resources that I'm going to provide to you guys, is one of the best practice suggestions was to make it easy for people to leave these reviews for you. And I think probably what we're going to do is we're going to put together sort of like a little fact sheet, 2 paragraphs basically, that explains why reviews are important to us, because it helps us, improve the way that we do business. It helps us help you, Mr. Customer, better tomorrow than we did today. And then give them sort of an example of what a good review should look like, and then just a straight up link, like click here. You click right here, and it's going to take you to the spot where you can do that, to try and make this as easy as we possibly can for people. I think if we do that, we'll probably see some reviews increase across the board. And also, one of the uncomfortably cool things about the whole setting up the stage for reviews and stuff like that is that kind of forces us to be a little more honest with ourselves maybe than we have in the past.
Yeah. It brings on accountability for sure. The interesting thing about what you just said, though, is that the concept of setting up the review, that is not alien to the market. That is not something that's going to catch somebody by surprise. I mean, you can't go to Taco Bell and get a burrito and some nacho fries without getting a, hey, take this survey for a free this. You can't call the 1-800 number for cable TV without them prompting you first, leave a review, and you're done. So your concept it's not going to catch anybody off guard. As a matter of fact, it's going to be a very familiar situation for just about anybody that walks in the door.
Right. And I mean, the benefits for marketing are tremendous. The benefits for SEO are tremendous. I mean, I flashed a thing up on the screen earlier, and I'll go ahead and put it back up there really quickly. But one of the benefits to having these Google reviews is when people go and search for manufactured homes billings, Centennial Homes, we've got an ad that runs, which is right at the top of the list, and then beneath that is a map, and then the number one thing that's popping up on the map is Centennial Homes of Billings with 4.8 stars. And then as you look back down here, Big Sky has got 2 stars, and Montana Modular Homes has got 3.4 stars.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, just like you were talking about, my wife is exactly the same way. When we start looking for something, her very first question is, what do the reviews look like? So if you were looking for a modular manufactured home and you saw that listing 4.8 and 2 and 3.4, whatever, who's going to be the guy on your list to call?
Absolutely. And you know how many people, I can't count how many different customers have come in already and said, hey, we're here because your review. And what we're really trying to target is an emotional connection. That's what we're trying to target. And everybody has that be like the Joneses syndrome. No matter who you want to be, no matter if you want to live in the mountains, hills, there's facets about yourself that you wish you were like everyone else. And when you have that many reviews compared to the next person and that high reviews compared to the next person, they're going to want to be and see what everybody else has experienced.
So speaking to your other brothers out there who are and sisters who are running and working at our various locations, what would you say to motivate them to get on board with this?
It's unbelievable the amount of people who've come in and have said, we are here because of your review. We didn't even stop anywhere else. And it's a really good feeling too when they put your name out there and they say specifically Michael Williams. I mean, if you get on our reviews and you search it, there's a vast majority of our reviews specifically will call you out and have called me out. And it motivates your team too. You know, if like in Bismarck, if John, you've got one guy, Logan, for instance, he's a younger guy there. He'd probably be more apt to ask than maybe say Marshall or Brian. But let's say that he did, and he got like 5 or 6 in a row that said his service was great. Don't you think on some level that a lot of those consumers who read those reviews are going to want to go to Logan instead of Marshall? So it kind of motivates the other guys to say, hey, I better get on board here, or people are going to start calling specifically for me.
Well,
that's kind of.
And it's interesting because I've got a screenshot here of some of the reviews. I just went and grabbed the first 4 that were at the top of the list today before we started doing this video. And the very first one says, Janelle and Mike are great. Will not try to get you to buy outside of your budget. Really listens to needs and wants. Thanks, man. If you're a nervous pacer type buyer, and you go on there and you read that, you're just like, boom, that's the people. That's where I'm going, because those people are not going to beat me up and they're going to treat me right and everything. And I just want to run through a couple more of them. My mother has been torn on who to buy from. Let me get this up on the screen so the other people can see it. My mother's been torn on who to buy from, and after we went through every dealer within a 250-mile radius, we chose Centennial Homes. Janelle found us the right home in our exact budget and got us on the slickest home buying strategy. Another one, I'm incredibly impressed with the service we have found with Michael Williams and Centennial Homes. Michael Williams has been the best salesman I have ever worked with. Mike, I mean, you and Janelle are batting 1,000 over there, and you got to tell me, people walk in the door and ask for you because they saw your name on there, don't they?
They do, yeah. And as soon as I introduce myself as Michael, you can already kind of see a half smile on their face. And eventually, just about everybody walking in the door has seen our review. They have seen it. And
they already feel like they've made a connection with you before they ever get there.
Yeah, and what's really nice is that you get a lot of forgiveness and you get a lot of leeway because it's hard to explain. You'd think that they'd expect you to be as perfect as your review, and even when you're not, they're still so satisfied. They see, and you can ask them too. What a really good thing I like to ask people that I know have seen our review and commented on it. I ask them now, since you've been in, do you see why so many other people have had the same feeling that you have now? And they they just can. It's such a good feeling, seeing the look on their face when you ask them that, and they say absolutely, and then they leave one.
Yeah, that's awesome because they're now they're part of the family. That's awesome that you guys are doing that. Yeah. And I think that sort of having that script and being able to kind of walk through your mind, okay, at this point in the game, I'm going to set up a stage for it. And you and I talked a couple weeks ago, and I mentioned it a little earlier in the video about one of the strategies that that I thought would work, where you set them up from the beginning and say, Michael, my job here and my goal is to provide you with a 5-star experience. So at the end of this phone call or at the end of this exchange, whatever it is, if I have done that, will you be honest with me and tell me? Because that's going to set the stage up front. It's going to put some accountability on us, and then it's going to make it real easy at the end of the exchange for you to say, so do you feel like I did a good job today? Oh yeah, sure you did, Mike. You did a great job. So there would be no reason that you couldn't leave us a great review. And I mean, I think that setting the stage and priming the pump and just straight up asking for it, I think that's probably the sort of the key to how the magic works.
Yeah, that's awesome, and we're uniquely positioned in this day and age where, like you mentioned before, just texting them a link. They get on their cell phone, as they're walking out, as they're in their car, as they're driving home. It's so easy to do that. And then I always like to tell them too, because, and I appreciate this, Jason, you always comment on them. You always have something very clever, very nice, very heartfelt to say in response, and it says from the owner. So, and I always set them up for that. Don't be surprised if the owner, comments on it, because it's his way of sharing this with you, and he appreciates your business. They just light up. They love it.
I talked about that earlier, and I just started doing that just as a sort of just a way to keep track and make sure that I had read through the reviews and everything, and it was easy just to comment, thanks, if we can help in any way, let us know, or we really appreciate your business, or sometimes it's kind of funny, like they'll be like, hey, Michael was awesome, and I'll be like, we think you're great too, or it's just sort of a conversational thing with them. But that was just my way of trying to keep track of which I had read and which ones I hadn't. And when you told me what the people's reaction to that was, I was like, oh, okay, well, that really, my opinion, and it's not strictly my opinion, but in sales and marketing, before someone can do business with us, they have to know, trust, and love us. Obviously, if they don't know about you, they can't buy from you. And in what we do, they have to trust and love us on some degree. Now, you can run a 75% off sale and buy someone's love or trust. But really, with what we do, we have to have that no trust and love relationship. And doing this really sets us up for a home run on that, because
it does.
We're starting to establish that relationship ahead of time, and I think that's just awesome. We're running. This has been an extremely long video because of the technical stuff that was in the front of it, and I know you've got to wrap up some stuff today. Mike, do you have anything else you want to add, just to let people know, or just to sort of tie up?
Well, I promise you, if you invest wholeheartedly today in the marketing aspects of Google reviews and asking for it and setting it up and getting that positive feedback, I promise you, your market business will increase. People will notice you before they notice anyone else. You'll get more opportunity than you could imagine. It's nothing but positive. There's nothing bad that comes from it. Even with negative reviews, like you said, this is really the way to go for the future, and that's why I've made it a real point. And I think that everybody else should do it as well.
That's awesome, Michael. Thank you so much for taking time to do this today. Guys and girls out there at the locations, in the email that the link to this video comes with, there's going to be some links to the documents that I was looking at earlier, the best practices, how to ask, stuff like that. We'll put together some show notes, so to speak, that you guys can go over. But really and truly, start asking, because that's the easiest way to do it. Michael, we certainly appreciate your time today. And hey, we are going to be looking for 100 by the end of sprint.
I'm gonna try it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And
all right, guys. Hey,
when I get to 90, I'm gonna be telling everybody my goal is 100. You're gonna help me get there.
Okay, so I tell you what, you get to 90, we'll come back and do another video just to revisit and see if we can't kick the last 10 out the gate. Okay?
Yes, sir. Thanks, Jason. I appreciate it.
All right, guys. Hey, once again, thanks. If you guys have any questions about marketing, anything that we're doing or whatever, shoot me an email. Hey, if you want to be a superstar like Mike, we'll put you on the mic. Just let me know. Have a great day, guys. Bye, Mike.
Take care.